Hello everybody, my name is Madison Van Buskirk and this is my final presentation. So for this assignment I decided to interview a social worker at the Women's Resource Center. So I actually took this photo from their website. So I ended up meeting with a licensed clinical social worker. Her name was Nellie Arrieta, I believe that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, she hasn't been there for too long, but she is the training coordinator. Basically, the Women's Resource Center is located on campus here at the University of Utah. It's staffed by licensed clinical social workers, psychologists, and just various related professionals. They do things like coordinating training, counseling especially. They also manage scholarships, provide education, and more. Social workers who are employed here need to have a clinical license as well as psychologists. Other people that are just, say, coordinating schedules or things like that would just need a degree in a related field. Because of the small size of the agency, there isn't a lot of room for advancement. There's not many people and not many offices, but Nellie did tell me this is her dream job. She's been practicing since 1998, and she was so excited to be here and really loved the Women's Resource Center and what it stood for. But they have hired students from the U that did their practicums here, so that definitely is hopeful that they have opportunities for students and things like that. Alright, the mission statement at the Women's Resource Center, I will go ahead and just read it to you. It says, the Women's Resource Center at the University of Utah serves as the central resource for educational and support services for women. Honoring the complexities of women's identities, the WRC facilitates choices and changes through programs, counseling, and training grounded in a commitment to advance social justice and equality. So I asked Nellie what maybe she thought the three major goals or more of the Women's Resource Center would be, and these are the ones she gave me. So she said, providing access to services and counseling for students and faculty. So they provide services for students, staff, and faculty. Community members can also participate in support groups in the evenings, she said, but otherwise it's just for the student, staff, and faculty. Next is engaging women in higher education and sustaining them through the process. So I'll go ahead and talk about that later as well. And then last is educating campus and the community about women's issues and identities. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the services and specialties that the Women's Resource Center has. So it provides services mainly for female students and staff, but they do have services for men as well. You can read about it on the website. But it comprises people of all ages, races, socioeconomic statuses, things of that nature. They also have services for femme-identifying persons, people who may be in transition, LGBTQ students. All of those can find support here, including men can find support at the Women's Resource Center. They specialize in supporting first-generation students, students of color, refugee and immigrant students, survivors of violence, and students from low socioeconomic backgrounds. So even though they do provide services to almost anyone, they do have specialized services and accommodations for those things that I listed before. Clients can receive individual and couples counseling. Nellie talked a lot about that people can walk in, and before even receiving such things like mental health counseling, they'll look at your basic needs first, you know. Do you have food, shelter, clothing? Are you able to pay for school? You know, how are things going in that field? And they'll provide you with information, help you get connected to other resources that can help get those things for you. And they even do things like emergency scholarships if, you know, you're broke and your windshield breaks on your car. She gave that example that they were able to provide some funds for a student at the Women's Resource Center who was unable to cover that cost. So it's pretty cool. Otherwise, they also do scholarships, mentorships. You can participate in support groups, like I said. She also talked about the cost of the services. They're extremely cheap for students. The maximum is $12 that they would charge you on a sliding scale. But like I said, if you cannot pay, it can be free for you as well. Online, a lot of this information can be found at the Women's Resource Center website, which is listed on the top link here above. They have a really great website. It's very informational. Nellie did say they were in the process of rebranding, especially to have more inclusive wording. But you should see changes coming soon, but they're, I think, in the beginning of working on that. You can find it on the university homepage. You can click my link, or you can just search it online, and it's not too hard to find. Anyone who goes to the website, including potential clients who might want to be seen by the center, there's all kinds of information about the history, different programs, the staff there, the different social workers, the different scholarships that may be available to you, and of course their community initiatives, which they are very important to them. For a brief history, you can see I took this quote off the university webpage. It says, "The Women's Resource Center at the University of Utah was founded in 1971 by a group of visionary women, faculty, staff, and graduate students. During the 1970s and 80s, the center was at the forefront of many changes on and off campus. So some big things the agency did during that initial founding phase, and they've continued to do, is provide, scholarships for women, access to childcare for women, educating campus about women's needs, things like that. So it's been a big deal on campus. It's gotten a little less recognition lately, in the wake of other programs and things like that, but they are still here on campus and still doing a lot of good. When I walked in, you can tell it's a pretty small building. It's located on the top floor of the Union, which is kind of in the center of campus if you've been on campus. Even though it was really small, it was super inviting, and I felt like everyone was happy to be there. So she said the center lacks resources and space. The grad students that are participating there all share one office. I think she said there's 4 or 5, and so they all have to coordinate their schedules to be able to individually use the office. So they definitely kind of lack funds, and they're not an overfunded program, I would say. The salaries of the employees are paid by the University of Utah, but she said the previous director volunteered half the time. She worked full-time, but she only got paid for like 24 hours a week or something. So a lot of people also volunteer their time there because of the low funding. Private donors provide almost all of the funding to the programs and scholarships that they do there. And the agency as a whole is a private nonprofit run through the school. Moving on, different programs and initiatives they have. I'm going to talk mainly about 2, but they have the Go Girls Community Initiative, which is done through schools. They have the You Start program, which I'll talk about, and they also provide scholarships and undertake the Women's Enrollment Initiative. The Women's Enrollment Initiative is a separate department, but it is run through the Women's Resource Center. So I think they have a separate page for that, but if you're interested in that Women's Enrollment Initiative, Nellie said they do a lot of work with that as well. So Go Girls, this was a program I was most excited to see, and I thought it was really amazing. So it's just basically a community initiative. They reach out to different schools in the Salt Lake County area. I guess the Salt Lake City School District. I think they're partnered with 3 or 4 different local schools. So girls 6th grade to seniors in high school, basically, they come to classes to get advocated for. They have workshops for them. Basically, they teach them all kinds of things about their identity. Nellie said they even teach them things about, white privilege, what is racism, things like that. But these services are provided mainly to girls that are have low socioeconomic status or they come from minority backgrounds, things like that, who may have a harder time getting access to higher education. So basically, they want to help these girls find ways to, fill out a resume, fill out a job application, fill out a college application, get scholarships, things like that. So it's a really cool program just here locally that the Women's Resource Center does. The other program that they have, besides of course just their regular services at the center, is the U-Start, which is the Student Access and Retention Initiative. So basically they've been doing this for a long time, but they're wanting to, recruit and retain underserved students here. So students that may have a really hard time getting access to higher education, they're gonna take them on. They have a gender studies department that also coordinates with this. I think it's gender social justice, kind of the program that they're doing now. But they'll basically just stick with the student, help them get scholarships, keep them on target for graduation, mentor them, advise them, all kinds of things like that. So it's a very cool program as well. They've been doing it for a long time. Basically at the end of everything, I thought the Women's Resource Center was really great. It's an important piece of campus life, and any student can find help there. I thought it was a really warm environment. Everyone cared about their jobs. Nellie said it was her dream job even, and she hadn't even worked there more than 6 months. But I kind of asked her, there's the counseling center on campus, there's all kinds of other resources on campus. Like, why would someone come here specifically to get, especially to get counseling? Why would they not just go to the counseling center? And Nellie talked a lot about that here they focus on a feminist multicultural approach to counseling. They don't use the medical model, they don't diagnose there, but they focus on the person, first of all, and how they interact with their environment, which is something we've learned a lot about in this class. But she also said some people have bad experiences with counseling centers. They have a hard time getting in, they have minimum and maximum times that you can be seen, but if you come to the Women's Resource Center, you can be seen as much as you need to be seen. They're not gonna cut you off from counseling at any point. But yeah, even though they don't do the diagnosis, they can still get students medication. They coordinate with an APRN in the counseling center, she said, who helps get medications prescribed. But yeah, I was just really impressed with the Women's Resource Center, and yeah, I was excited to learn more about it, and I hope they continue to stay on campus and be a part of it and provide the services to students. And anyways, the end. Thanks for coming to my presentation.